Are you gonna do it?
Yay! I think 2018 will be regarded as a defining year for the games industry. With PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet rumored to be releasing in 2020, it started to become clear that we've entered the final phase of this generation. Games like God of War, Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2 that released in the past year feel like this generation's quote-unquote swan songs. You know, this is kind of mirroring Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, and Bioshock Infinite at the conclusion of the 360 and PS3 generation. 2018, more than any other year before it, gave us a clearer look at what the future of gaming actually is. It's connected, it's evolving and changing, it's inclusive. I'll explain that a little further in a bit, or I suppose you could skip to that part of the video. But before that, I want to take you all back to the end of 2017, where I think the industry hit a bit of a low point. It's November 29th, 2017. Electronic Arts CFO Blake Jorgensen speaks to investors about Visceral Games' closure and the cancellation of their Star Wars game, codenamed Project Ragtag. By the way, fuck EA for doing this. The game looks so cool. It was like an Uncharted game set in the Star Wars universe. I mean, it was even being written by the writer of Uncharted 3, Amy Hennig. How can you fuck this up, EA? God damn it. So, Blake Jorgensen describes the game to investors as a much more linear game that, and get this shit, people don't like as much as they liked 5 years or 10 years ago. You know, I think the icing on the cake to this entire thing is that this call to investors came hot off the Battlefront 2 lootbox controversy, where EA lost $3 billion in share value. It's also important to note that in the past week, EA's share value has dropped by $22 billion. Will this change EA's ways? Will they go out of business? No, probably not. Mega corporations like EA, their share value is constantly fluctuating, but the poor Battlefield 5 sales definitely don't help EA's situation. I think it's also important to note that this is the same guy that said, "We're building into all of our games the ability to pay for things along the way, either to get to a higher level, to buy a new character, to buy a truck, a gun, whatever it might be. And consumers are enjoying and embracing that way of the business." It was a moment in gaming history that, if events had happened differently and EA's pay-to-win lootbox agenda went unnoticed, could have drastically shifted the course of our industry. So that's where gaming ended up in 2017, with a lot of uncertainty and two looming questions. Are loot boxes going to take over gaming? Are single-player games actually on the way out? Single-player games aren't going anywhere. And here's why. Over the last year, I've swung through the concrete jungle of New York City as Spider-Man. I've witnessed the downfall of the Vanderling gang as Arthur Morgan. I've scattered my wife's ashes with my son Atreus in Jotunheim as Kratos. I've hunted down Cade Six's killers as a punk rock space bitch who wields galactic magic and is from now until the end of time called Sally. I've fought for a better future as Connor, Kara, and Marcus. I've slayed gorgeous monsters and wore their skin in hat form as a monster hunter. I've taken on Joseph Seed and his religious cult as a police rookie. I've ventured into a harsh landscape and faced the darkness as a nameless, faceless warrior. I've traveled ancient Greece on an odyssey to find my family and save the world as Cassandra. I've climbed a mountain and battled mental illness as Madeline. I became these characters. I think we all became these characters. We lived their lives, we experienced their stories, we played through their triumphs and their defeats. I felt sadness, joy, anger, heartbreak for every single one of them. Except maybe Sally, the space bitch. She barely speaks, so no real connection there. We get so invested in these characters, and we feel so much for them, and that's something only a single-player game can do. And yet, despite all of this, the future of gaming still looks to be all about connection, evolution, and player inclusivity. Let me break that down for you. When you finish a single-player game, when you've concluded, say, Peter Parker's or Arthur Morgan's or Kratos' stories, you know that apart from the potential for a sequel or maybe downloadable story content, that's it. You've finished the critical path, the main story. You've witnessed the ending. I think that's why there is such a strong draw to live service games like Fortnite, Destiny, and Call of Duty, because if a developer and publisher play their hand right, these games don't actually end. They change and evolve and continue to exist for weeks and months and for some years after their release. You know, even though I've barely played it, I think Warframe is a perfect example of this. This is a game that originally released back in 2013 that can be played for exactly zero monies, and yet it's still being developed for and supported 5 years later, with expansions, new frames, new modes of transport, and new extensions of its deep, lore-driven universe. It'd be hard to argue that Warframe isn't the foundation for what gaming is striving for in the future. And without Warframe, there's a good chance there wouldn't be a Fortnite, or a Destiny in its current iteration, or ostensibly any game that is trying to become your game. You know, the game that you return to on a daily and weekly basis, the game that becomes ingrained into your routine. That's the future of gaming. An entirely connected, evolving set of games that are shifting and changing with new gameplay opportunities, new locations, and new updates. With a community of gamers playing together from PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, mobile, and PC, why else do you think Fortnite is so popular? Because Fortnite got to the finish line before everyone else. Epic Games cracked the code. Firstly, you have this really solid gameplay experience that is easy to play but difficult to master. That continues to bring back all kinds of people trying to improve their skills. Secondly, the game is free to play, so anyone can give it a shot. And if it hooks them, they get into it deep. Thirdly, the game is on everything. No matter what platform you play games on, Fortnite is there. Except 360 and PS3 because fuck you, it's been 5 years, get a new gen console already. And lastly, and I think most importantly, the game is updated every single week, with new items and guns and locations and gameplay tweaks and skins to purchase, which by the way are not in fucking loot boxes. The game is constantly evolving. Epic Games was the first company to align the planets in this way, and now every multiplayer game maker on the planet is trying to play catch up. And generally, they're all experiencing success. You know, Bungie steered the Destiny ship back in the right direction with Forsaken. Treyarch made the best Call of Duty game in the last decade with Black Ops 4. DICE's newest entry in the Battlefield franchise, despite not selling well, was a return to form with no loot boxes. Thank fuck. The list goes on until you get to Bethesda.
I read on the internet that our games have had a few bugs. I did. I read it on the internet, so it's true.
It's funny, when I originally started writing for this video, all of this shit with Bethesda hadn't actually happened yet. It kind of ruins my glorification of a single-player filled and lootbox lacking 2018, to be honest, but anyways. I think it's only fair that since we started with the quote-unquote bad guy of 2017, we end this video with the quote-unquote bad guy of 2018. I knew Fallout 76 was going to be broken. I think a lot of us expected it to be broken. For one, it's Bethesda, and for two, it's an online live service game. Shit is going to go wrong. What I didn't expect was for Fallout 76 to be this broken.
We know you've played a lot of our games and a lot of online games, but this one really is unique. Evidently, these online games are hard. They can have some nasty issues.
Yeah, that broken. Couple that with misrepresenting the content of your collector's edition, then doxing those players trying to get that damn canvas bag, then having the goal to release overpriced Christmas-themed emotes and costumes, and then having the audacity to release loot box-based microtransactions in the form of lunchboxes into your broken mess of a game, if the data mines are accurate. This is all just so you can nickel and dime your most loyal players who are still putting up with the shit you've produced and released as a $60 game. You know, this is akin to a full-price AAA release games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War. Fallout 76 just doesn't stack up. You know, Bethesda really outdid themselves this year, and it sucks. It sucks because all of this could have been avoided if Bethesda didn't rush the game out the doors so that they could trick their fan base into buying an unfinished and honestly god-awful game with little to no redeeming factors. I don't like this. I don't like talking about the bad, the disappointing aspects of the games industry. But if companies like EA, Activision, and now Bethesda continue to undertake such shady and abysmal business practices, well, then I'm gonna have to talk about it, aren't I?
Peter, it's time to get up.
Bethesda's last hurrah in 2018 is only a small spot of dirt on an otherwise stellar year of games. It's so weird to me because it feels like every creative person in the games industry woke up and decided that 2018 was going to be the year that they produce their best and most refined work. I think gaming and the industry have left 2018 in a better place than where they started. Despite the negativity and the drama that have overtaken the conversation in the past couple of months, the future of games feels like it's never been this bright. I guess the last thank you, apart from single player games, is going to go to the people who made them, the developers. Because without them, you wouldn't be watching this video, and I wouldn't have made this video, and our lives would be far, far less interesting. So thank you, game developers, for making 2018 fucking rock. You guys killed it. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much. I know there was quite a bit of 2018 that I missed in this video. The Blizzard mobile conundrum, PlayStation name changes, Atlas being a repurposed Arc DLC. But I'd like to think, you know, I did a good job getting the broad strokes of gaming in 2018. If there is anything you wish I included in the video, let me know down in the comments below. Again, I want to thank you for watching the entire video. It really means a lot. I can't stress enough how much your feedback is going to help the channel grow and change, so please, please, please let me know via the comments below, or on my Twitter @PallisterJTTV, or during my streams on Twitch. All the links to my socials, my stream, and my Discord are below in the description, so definitely be sure to check those out. If you're watching this as it goes live on New Year's Day, I hope your head isn't hurting too bad from last night, and I hope you have a fantastic 2019. To those who I see in the Twitch chat, I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. And for those on the YouTube side, I'll be back next week with a new video. Same time as this one, midday Australian Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.